Hello and welcome back to the Good Leader podcast. I'm Will van der Hart.
Hi, I'm Will James.
And we are really, really excited to have you here today because we've got Henry Kaestner here and he's flown over from America, not specifically for our podcast, although we like to believe that. But he's here for the Leadership Conference. Henry, welcome to you.
Thank you. What a great treat. Great honor to be with you all. Thank you.
You're very kind. You don't know what you're in for yet, but we're so grateful
I'm
to
excited. I'm excited.
Yeah,
Guys got something incredible in store for all of us.
you. Yeah, thank you. Well, look, if we were going to go through your bio, it would be pretty overwhelming because you've done an awful lot of things. You've worked in finance, you've started a number of businesses, you're passionate about faith and entrepreneurship, you're behind Praxis. I mean, you're a thinker and a leader, and you're also married and you've got 3 kids.
I am married and I have 3 kids.
And you look surprisingly healthy. How are you doing all that?
Oh my goodness. Are you surprised that I'm healthy?
Oh, well, I just went and see your bio. I think you might crawl into the room because you're so overwhelmed by what you do. But how are you doing all this stuff?
Well, one thing I do need to correct you on. Praxis is really Dave Blanchard and Josh Kwan. I did get to be a founding board member, which is a great honor and privilege for me.
Right.
I don't know that I contribute a whole lot, but it was great to be there in the early formation stages. And Dave and Josh and the way that God has worked through them is brilliant.
You're very humble as well. So you've just even gone up in our estimation.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like you couldn't get any better. We know that you are both like proactively and sort of in the background influencing a lot of people in their faith journey and also kind of inspiring them in their businesses. And that's a lot. So tell us what gets you out of bed in the morning. How do you start your day?
Oh, I start my day. I start my day with coffee and God's word. You know what I do is every morning I'm in Nikki and Pippa's Bible 1 Year Out.
Okay.
And I do that with my wife, and it's awesome. Then I go for a run. And sometimes I'll pray, I'll meditate, sometimes I'll listen to the Economist podcast.
Okay.
But then I'm about trying to figure out what God would have me do that day.
Wow.
And you mentioned that there are a whole bunch of different things I'm involved in, and I am, and it's great. But the key for each one of them is that I've got great teams in place, incredible leaders that allow me to stay involved in what God's doing in their lives and be a little bit dangerous. And then I get a chance to check in with them and see if I can serve them in any way.
Wow. So your leadership is really built on leading leaders and
Yes.
help releasing people to lead under you.
Indeed.
How did you get into that space initially? How did you find that leading leaders was your thing?
Well, I don't know that everything that's happened in my life is divine providence. Everything has happened from my just trying to find, I guess maybe at my heart, maybe I'm an investor. I invest in pattern recognition, and I invest and I get a sense of contentedness when I'm in line with God's plan for my life. And God has shown me over time that there's some things that I do well and some things that I don't do well, and that we're really best in partnership. So over and over again in my life, God has sent me incredible partners that have allowed me to do what I do. And I think about Tom Hahn and David Morgan and Luke Roush and now Justin Foreman, these 4 incredible men of God that are super good at what they do. And then in the process of being in a relationship with them, we talk about the problems we want to solve together, and we dream together, and we talk about how to go ahead and take action on it. And then we just let's get out there, let's just make it happen. Well, let's fail fast, let's drive fast and take chances, right? And so doing that together, in the process of doing that, and I really would like to tell you that there's some sort of formula that I just came up with ingenuity and all right, this is exactly how I go about my day, and this is exactly how I choose a partner, exactly how I lead leaders. In each case, it's divine providence putting the right people in my path. And then the joy and the synergy that comes from being in partnership with somebody about solving problems and then getting feedback from those that you seek to serve. And then going ahead and say, well, what do you think about those meetings we had today? I think we probably need to tweak things a little bit this way. What should you do about it? What should I do about it? And how do we communicate that with the team? And that daily iteration about solving a problem together in partnership is, aside from divine providence, the reason for any success I've had in my life.
So I'm thinking about people listening to the podcast and recruitment, how you identify a good partner, I think is a key sort of leadership challenge and a key leadership opportunity. The people that I work with who I think are most successful are brilliant at identifying good people and managing to find a good fit in working relationship to kind of make things happen.
Yeah.
If you were to sort of try and slow down the tape and codify or speak to a little bit, what does that process, how does that work for you when you met some of those guys that you realized were amazing, sent to you, really great people to work with? What are some of the things that you notice that are like, I think this is a good person to work with on my team, to recruit, to explore partnership opportunities with?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, in many cases, so the best thing to do is to pray for a partner. I can say it unequivocally. I think about my partnership with David Morgan at Bandwidth and Republic Wireless. Just a brilliant, brilliant guy. In that case, I wish I could take some credit for it and just being like thoughtful about it ahead of time. But in that case, he prayed for a partner for 2.5 hours under his desk the day before I cold called him. So I can't take any credit for it. I want to take credit for it, but you see divine providence in it. But if I'm going to see a pattern in it, I think that I'm fascinated by solving problems and seeing something that should exist but doesn't. And then I get consumed by that. I'm just like, oh my goodness, that's an incredible opportunity. There's a problem, and for instance, with bandwidth is telecom companies, small to medium-sized telecom companies couldn't get reliable internet access, and this is 99, 2000. And just like that should happen. Big companies can get it, consumers can get it, but not small to medium-sized businesses. That's a problem that should be solved. And then just you spend time, you're fixated on that, and then you end up meeting people. You're like, oh my goodness, that person has the same passion I do, sees the same problem, sees the same opportunity. And I can just tell by the way they're talking about it that I'm going to be able to solve it. I'm going to be involved in a team that will solve it so much better because of the way what they bring to the table. And there's a sense of, as you spend time with that person, just being able to iterate and just like, well, I think we should do this. And I was like, oh my goodness, you're so right. And then you realize these are things that you can't bring to the table. You know, in leadership, we talk a lot about staffing our weaknesses. Well, that starts off at the beginning, being in partnership with somebody. But I can't imagine not being in partnership in anything I've ever done. How lonely that would be. And so we've been in each of my partnerships, and these are my best friends in the world. We've been through the valleys together, and we've been up at the top and just, high-fiving each other so hard that our hands were hurt. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful things, and crying out to God and praising God. But in each case, they were a compliment, and I could see that. And I think that the sense of just increasing the energy, like, oh my goodness, they also see the same problem I do. And with that person, I bet we're going to be able to solve it.
So some of what I hear there, which is worth celebrating, I think, is clarity of vision and mission. So you're seeing the problem, seeing the difference you want to create in the world, a value of complementarity, and also maybe the humility to have a sense of one's own limits, and how those limits are also maybe God's opportunity and God's invitation for others to join in
100%.
and to do something more creative and exciting together.
Well, you're 100% right on that. And that, of course, doesn't end with your partner. That continues with the expanded team that you bring on board. And then your ability as a leader to be able to articulate the problem you're trying to solve, where you're going, what the mission looks like, and what it looks like when you fulfill the mission, when you've arrived. What does that mountaintop experience look like? Okay, team, 5 years from now, we're going to be on top of the mountain, and it's going to look like this, and the world will be different because of this, and this is what it looks like, and it feels like, this is what it tastes like. So you paint this vision of this world that will have been changed by the impact of the team all working together, and then as a leader, after you say, this is what the world is going to look like, and this is going to be the impact we're going to make in the world over the course of the next 3-5 years. Here's the role that each of you play in it in such a way that they understand how incredibly instrumental their role is in helping to get up to that mountain.
And can I just ask as well, on the sort of other side of that, so boundaries also are good, and we conserve our energy and we protect what's wanting to emerge by also like naming somebody's not a good fit, it's maybe time to part ways. Have you had much experience on that side of making good decisions around team, of needing to say, I think we need to part ways at this point, or release you to go and do something else?
Yes. Any leader with time needs to be able to assess what's the best way to accomplish the mission. And a lot of people talk about corporate culture being so incredibly important. I think that if we just focus on corporate culture as our number one, we'll never get it. I think if instead we focus on mission as our number one, we'll achieve the mission and we'll also get culture. The best gift that we can give to any of our teammates is an important mission, an important job. We are created in the image of a God who works 6 out of 7 days, and according to the Gospel of John, his work continues to this day. Giving somebody meaningful work is a way to love on them. When somebody's not aligned with that and is holding back the achievement of that mission, you're not loving the other people on that mission well by holding them back from what you articulated at the outset. Now, when you fire somebody and let somebody go and they're surprised, you haven't loved on them. So what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to love the Lord our God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And our neighbor is the person we encounter. Of course, we're in the workplace. They're the people that have adjacency that we're interacting with every day. Well, we want to love the entire team by giving them real work to do and a real mission. But if in the process of loving the rest of the people, we end up surprising somebody when we've let them go, well, we haven't loved them. So how do you accomplish both that? You have to give somebody an opportunity to cure. We hired somebody to serve a role to help us to achieve that mission. And we need this position, whether it's ops or logistics or whatever the case is, for us to get to there. We need that. And right now, this position that you have isn't helping us achieve the mission the way we need it to. Now, we want you to be that person to be able to do it. And I want to work with you over the course of the next 3 months to help you to achieve it. But if you can't, we have to find you another mission and another vision someplace else that really makes the most of your skill set. Because we have to achieve the mission. That's what we talked about when you came on board. And that's what the rest of the team is looking for. Now, the majority of the time, when you identify somebody who can't help you achieve that mission, who you give opportunity to cure, most of the time, they still don't work out. Sometimes they do, and it's a beautiful thing when they do. Most of the time, it hasn't happened, but you've loved them. The other thing that happens is that you've also helped everybody else that's on the mission understand that you're there, because there are periods where things are really difficult, and you want people to know that they work in a safe environment, that there's going to be open and honest communication about what it takes to achieve the mission and whether they're delivering or not. And everybody wants that type of feedback. They also want some level of being an opportunity to be able to get right back on track. If they're in fear all the time, then they'll do this covering, CYA. They'll just try to cover their back steps in such a way that they preserve just this bare minimum to keep them in the job. So by loving the people out the door, you've loved the people who stay by giving them a real mission, and you give them the safety and the security to know that they can operate with some level of license and agency, knowing that you have their back and they're not going to walk into your office someday and you're going to fire them. Does that make sense?
That's a great, that's world class right there. I mean, it's so helpful. When I think about it from a church leader perspective, I just think you're seeing there, I'm ringing 10 bells going, we're not clear enough about the mission that we're actually asking people to do. Yes, our big mission is clear, but like when you employ someone in a church setting, are you really clear about the mission that you've asked them to achieve? And are you holding them to account on whatever it is that the mission is, and are you then loving them by giving them real-time feedback, or is it just silence when things don't go well and then suddenly like they're eased out the door? That isn't loving people well. So just hearing you articulate that is super, super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, what's the biggest failure of your life taught you most about the leadership that you're now living?
The biggest failure in my life.
I mean, it doesn't have to be the biggest failure, as in I'm not asking you to like share that.
No, I don't mind sharing.
The biggest
failure in my life? Oh, I'm a sinner falling short of the glory of God. My inability to live into my holy purpose in light of the God of the universe loving me immensely and having any type of sin patterns, falling into just repetitive sin patterns, is unbelievable. That's the biggest failure in my life. But it also the biggest failure in my life puts me back at the feet of God over and over again, understanding how loved I am, that despite the fact that I've fallen short of this incredible, what I could be, to be Christ-like, right? The fact that I've fallen so short in light of all that's been given me brings me back to the cross and brings me back to knowing how much I need a Savior, and knowing how loved I am, that despite that, as messed up as I am, that God sent His Son to love me. And through His power and His grace, I do get better. The sin patterns I have aren't as profound as they have. But that realization gives me this joy and this gratitude when I have life, eternal life with God, right? In this time frame, He has me on this mission to be able to bring about His kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, under His power for His glory. That's an awesome mission. But it's this just every day needing to go ahead and just ask for forgiveness, just just realize how loved I am. And then that provides me with this nuclear source of power to go into the marketplace and to just try to create, not knowing that He doesn't need me to do any of these things. He took 5 loaves and 2 fish and fed 5,000. So He doesn't need any of these companies that I run to succeed and grow. But He just wants me. And that's just awesome.
That's just great. I mean, I'm like, yeah, that's the, like you say, nuclear energy. When you know how, like, oh, so when I'm loved, that's when I'm dangerous. That, by, I mean, when you know you're loved
Yeah,
by God,
yeah,
you're like,
I like that.
you
That's
can
a
do
great,
something,
yeah.
right?
When I'm loved, I'm dangerous. I love that. I'm going to use that.
It's like, yeah, please go right ahead. But if you're feeling vulnerable, and if you're feeling, like you're not connected to that love, if you begin to sort of people please, and you begin to back away from difficult decisions, it's like, it's nuclear energy. It's like, it's a remarkable thing.
Yeah.
That's so great to share. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really a really helpful conversation, really sort of clarifying and sort of enlightening. I think one of the things that strikes me that I'm really grateful for that you've articulated is actually when you have lack of clarity in a team, when you haven't had the courage and the kind of conviction. I mean, that's one of the things that really comes through with what you're describing, is such a sort of convicted sense of purpose, and we need to go somewhere, a mission, that actually you need clarity on every seat in the bus.
Yeah.
And if you're choosing to turn away from clarity because it feels easier, avoid conflict, you're just hemorrhaging so much energy that could be recruited for the sake of the mission and for the purpose, which is a great reminder.
Because we're on a mission, and I've got to be careful about using too many battlefield analogies, having never served in the military. But we know there's a war. There's a war, and it's not against flesh and blood. The struggles we have aren't just flesh and blood. It's against evil and principalities. There is a real battle that's going on, and we are invited to participate in the battle and go full on against the prince of the earth and solving problems. And that type of a mission, and it provides a focus. It's not just towards a better lifestyle or so we can earn a living and just take care of our family, although taking care of family is incredibly important. We were made for a mission. We were made for a God in His ultimate sovereignty knew what was going to be happening on the earth for such a time as this. We need to be men and women of Issachar to understand those times, and then we need to be full on so that we don't show up to heaven well rested.
So I think Will would agree with me that often our greatest strength can also sort of turn into our weakness at points. So we can like overplay our strength. And it sounds like you're a very focused, passionate, mission-driven person.
Yes.
Has that ever gone into burnout, not managing to kind of stop, rest in your life? Or have you found that you've been able to manage that quite successfully?
I think in aggregate, through the grace of God and great partners and a phenomenal wife and a focus on, even though I mess up all the time, being with God every single day and really prioritizing my family over my work, I have avoided any type of major burnout. There have been times where I've been run down, no doubt. Last November, I just got run down. I got shingles, which are extraordinarily painful, and that's a great reminder that I can't do all these things under my own power. So I'm not perfect by any stretch, but there have been a couple of guardrails that have been put in my life, and part of it's just knowing how much God loves me and just just a function of my salvation and understanding that allows me to have God first. And then through unmerited favor, I just married a wonderful, wonderful woman as my life partner who helps me process every day. And when things are starting to get a little bit out of whack, she helps me to just process it. And so it never gets terribly out of whack, right? And then I have these great partners that allow me to be working on mission. And then maybe as a function of the fact that we're able to articulate this mission, it attracts great people who really want to be focused on the mission. And so all those things, finding the joy in work, joy in my relationship with God and with my bride and my 3 boys, and then finding joy in the mission allows me, I really think, to be able to avoid burnout. And yeah.
That's so good, Henry. I mean, you're singing from our song sheet, like finding joy in work, finding partnerships, like doing things accountably, like giving clear feedback, plugging into the Lord. You know, this is like really exciting. It's just lovely just talking to you because I knew this was going to be a good
Very
opportunity.
kind.
No, it's really, it's helpful when you meet someone who exemplars what you believe is important, because we coach people, which is great, but we're there to help people do what you're doing. You don't need our coaching, by the way, but you're doing it already. But the nice thing is when you tell people, like, if you have a clear mission, if you plug into Jesus, if you create great partnerships, if you're accountable, you know, if you find joy, then you're going to find some wellness. You know, that's it. Like, there's $1 billion wellness industry out there that doesn't know these things, but the thing that we share, the like nuclear power in Jesus, that's like, that's a real special thing.
And I think, in case it's helpful for any of our audience, one of the things that I think you demonstrate in this conversation, which I'm really grateful for, is the openness to receive as well as to give. You know, we limit the kind of goodness that can come to our life if we're not open to receiving it. And that answering around burnout, around what I get from my wife, what I get from my partners, the unmerited favor of God, it's living in the flow of positive life energy that's wanting to come to us and through us. And
well framed and well said.
Such a key to sort of lasting success, isn't it?
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
Henry, we're going to have to wrap things up. We would keep you all day if we could, but we're so grateful for your time. So thank you. And thank you for being with us today on the Good Leader podcast. We have loved being with you, and we've loved being with Henry. And we want to encourage you to find that mission, but also to plug into the life source, you know, the thing that gives you meaning every day, which is knowing that you're loved by God. Just as you are, start your day knowing that you can plug into him, and he has got words of life to speak over your life today. So God bless you. From me, goodbye from me.
And from me,
it's been great to be with you. See you again soon.